So I built a new PC. Some might say that over the last year the prices have been sky high, however recently the prices have been dropping on many different products, and more importantly graphics cards. However, I can't necessarily say that the 4080 that I went for is necessarily a great value for money price, however it's the cheapest you're going to find it. Today I'm going to be talking to you about why I chose to upgrade from my old PC, what tech I've chosen for the new one and why, and then lastly we're going to be talking about game FPS, performance, and as well as that render speeds for 4K footage, as well as very long form video essays, which will probably impress some of you out there. So let's jump straight into why I chose to upgrade. In 2019, I chose to upgrade from my old PC, which was absolutely just not great, however it was a decent enough first PC. I then upgraded and built my own one for the first time, which ended up having an i7-8700, which was meant to be an i7-8700k, however I ended up not ordering that one because I was stupid and I didn't want to admit to myself that I had been. I also then got a GeForce RTX 2070, which to be fair is still to this day a decent graphics card for most people, and you can actually find it for a decent deal. However, for me now, it's just not suiting my needs, and those two together aren't able to handle the workflow that I have, which is the primary reason I chose to upgrade. Over the last year or so, it's been slowly deteriorating on me. I've had it now for 4.5 years, so I've had it for quite a while now. However, like I said, slowly it was just dying on me even more. Right now, it's basically going to be used as my gaming PC, as my primary gaming PC anyway, when I want to record gameplay. However, I'm still going to be gaming on my new one. Now, if you are interested in any of the parts that I talk about in this video, all of them will be linked down below with Amazon affiliate links. So if you do want to support the channel in any way and you want to check out these parts and or get any, then make sure to click those links. Now in terms of the parts for this PC, I ended up using PC Part Picker as my main source of info. However, once I had chosen the parts in particular, and normally I chose about 2 to 3 in each category, I then went off to YouTube, did a little bit of research in terms of what people were saying about each product, which then landed me on choosing these ones in particular. Now, for a lot of people out there, these parts will probably be quite overkill for what you want to do. However, for me and the destination of where I am going moving forward, it is definitely not for myself. Now, the first place that I actually want to start out with is probably the most noticeable difference off the bat in terms of a physical appearance, which is going to be the case. Now, I ended up choosing the NZXT H5 Flow, which is completely in black with a tempered glass panel, which makes everything look really sleek and really minimal. Now, for myself, I have found that over the years, I've preferred losing the LEDs on my old PC, even though it was something that was just a sign of the PC starting to deteriorate on me. Over time, I actually came to like the fact that my PC wasn't such a light show, and I've found that now that this PC has almost zero LEDs in it outside of the CPU cooler, I absolutely love the factor that it's not a blaring light show in the corner of my room, especially when I'm trying to sleep and I need it on. Now this PC comes with 2 extra fans built in. One is on the top of the PC straight off the bat, and then the other one is built into the bottom of it, just giving you some extra ventilation, which is obviously pretty common for many cases nowadays, but the placing of one of them is pretty unique, in my opinion anyway, from what I've seen, with having one fan built into the bottom and having the cable management slots in the back is very nice. And what I mean by this is that the actual backplate to this PC is really great. It has loads of smaller slots, unlike my previous PC, which is an actual great case and I absolutely love it, especially for the price of it. It's about £90, it's the card buy case. However, it doesn't have anywhere near as many slots for me to be able to funnel cables through the back, as I'm not exactly someone who is great at cable management for a PC build. It's my second PC I've ever built, and it does mean that most of the time I end up funneling the cables through the back and just kind of squeezing that backplate in. Now next up, I'm going to be talking about the motherboard, which I chose to go for the Gigabyte Z790 Elite AX. This motherboard allows DDR5 RAM sticks, which I specifically wanted with this build, as I wanted to just go all out if I was going to do the upgrade. It also allows them to be overclocked to 7600 MHz. Now it does also come with an M.2 port, which is obviously absolutely amazing to have on any PC out there, however it's pretty standard nowadays. Now, I chose this motherboard for three primary reasons. One is that M.2 port, primarily because this PC case is not big enough to allow me to put all of my hard drives and SSDs down the back of it like I did with my old one, as it's just a lot more thinner down the back for some reason. It's just a bit more open in the front, which, to be fair, is a good thing because my old PC would not have allowed me to get this graphics card in. Then the last two reasons is that I wanted to go for a 13th generation chip, and on top of that I wanted to have an extra USB-C port, as the motherboard itself has one built in, but also so does the case. So it just means that I've got two to choose from, one for a lot easier access for things like my SSD that plugs into my MacBook. The processor that I went for was the i913900k. Which, for anyone out there who might be asking, why didn't I choose a Ryzen chip? The simple answer is that I just don't know enough about them to put my faith necessarily in a particular one. Yes, I could have done some extra research on that, but for me, I needed the PC very quickly, so I was doing research on things that I already knew a decent amount about. Now, it does come in at £550, which is a very expensive chip. However, for me, I wanted the ability to overclock it to 5.8 GHz under manufacturer's warranty. However, it does also come with 24 cores, which means that it's an absolute powerhouse for things like video editing and pretty much going through any game out there. And so far for myself, in comparison to my old PC where Premiere Pro on the big projects would literally crash every 20 minutes, and when I say literally, I mean very literal. It used to crash every 20 minutes, and then on top of that, to load up the file again, I would then have to spend about 10 minutes waiting for the file to catch up, which would mean pretty much a crash twice an hour, which was not good when you're trying to do a big long-form video for something like my Exiled channel, which is long-form video essays. So on this PC, I've seen absolutely zero issues for normal Premiere Pro. I have seen a weird issue with Premiere Pro's beta. However, I don't know if that's necessarily the beta issue based off of research, but it's just the case of for some reason it corrupted my file but only on the PC to open, whereas when I was opening it on my Mac, it opened up perfectly fine. So overall, I can't necessarily say if it's something to do with my PC, as it does seem to be more of a thing with the beta itself. But all round, I've had zero issues when it comes to playing games and video editing on this thing. I've had zero issues when it comes to the Premiere Pro, for example, slowing down, so that's been really great to see. I went for an AI water cooler on my original build back in 2019, and I've done the same again this year. Now, in terms of this one, I did want to go fully water cooled if I could. However, it's a lot more hassle to set up and also a lot more hassle to maintain. So for me, this is going to be something as a further in the future project when I can kind of justify it a bit more. I ended up going for the NZXT Kraken 240, and it's fully blacked out. So again, it fits that sleek and minimal design with the only form of proper LED light on the case outside of one that's on the GPU ever so slightly is just the actual temperature of my water cooling system, which you might be able to tell from the clips is mounted wrong. This is true. That is primarily because I didn't read the instructions when I was mounting it, and I ended up mounting it slightly the wrong way. So probably in the next year when I go to change out the thermal paste, then I will actually mount it on correctly. But for now, it's not necessarily a big issue for me, so I'm going to leave it until then. Now, for anyone who is looking to build a new PC, what I would just recommend real quick is that if you are looking to get an AI water cooler, then make sure to just double check if it comes with its coolant, because if it doesn't come with thermal coolant, then you'll need to buy that as well. This one does, which is really great, as for a moment I didn't check it, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's good, at least it's done. Now, in terms of my RAM sticks, I chose to go for the Corsair Vengeance DDR5s, which have been absolutely great. They're a lot more minimal, again, like the overall build. In comparison to my old one, which again was an LED light show on those RAM sticks, it can definitely look cool if you want to go for that full build. However, for myself now, it's just not necessarily something that I want to do. Now, I ended up going for 64GB worth of RAM sticks. I was contemplating just saying screw it and go for 128. However, honestly, I can't really justify it to myself just yet. Maybe in the next build, though. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to be here for is going to be the graphics card. It was definitely what I was most interested in when it came to doing this build, along with the processor. So here we have it. So this time around, I chose to go for the Nvidia GeForce RTX 4080 Founders Edition. It's definitely way sleeker and way nicer than my previous one. The previous one is very gamery, whereas this one is just so much nicer to look at. But on top of that, its specs are outrageous for the price. Now, I have heard a lot of people say that you should have gone for the 4090 as you were already paying a lot of money for it. That was definitely very debatable for me. However, for myself, I just couldn't justify spending that extra £400-500 for that graphics card. The primary reason is that I can't really justify spending that sort of money right now for two reasons. One is that I don't really see the point in a 4090, but the second one is that realistically, I don't need one right now. In terms of it, I would just be going up the pricing ladder, which most of these companies would love me to do. Now, my big warning for anyone out there who is going to buy this thing is please buy it through Nvidia. Just do it. You're going to be a lot happier off buying it through Nvidia than buying it through a third-party company. If you use PC Part Picker, it's going to tell you that it's out of stock everywhere, when that's just not true. Nvidia do have it in stock, or at least at the time of recording this video, and if you try to buy it through Amazon, you're going to be charged about an extra grand through other people selling it on there, which obviously isn't too good. You don't want to end up paying a scalper a ton of money just for the sake of them having the product, when you can just buy it directly for the company for the price that it's meant to be valued at, which does come in at £1,150. And honestly, when I got this thing out of it, I was very skeptical for a second that it would fit inside of my case. But then I remembered that I've been watching a few of these 10-litre cases, which is something that I'm really interested to do in the future, maybe for that eventual next build, the third build in the future. However, I remembered that if it can fit in one of those, then it can definitely fit inside of my case. But in terms of gaming, it is again an absolute powerhouse, which we will talk about the FPSs and all that sort of thing in a moment. But in regards to this one, it does come with 16GB of onboard memory, ray tracing, DLSS 3, and on top of that you also get access to Nvidia's Studio, which obviously is very helpful for different scenarios. Now, one of the big things for the 40 series is the frame manipulation that allows you to get higher FPS, which obviously is a great thing, but don't fall for the marketing that tries to make it out as if this thing is like outstanding, when there is actually a high chance that for you to even get to that point, you're going to have to get rid of some pixels off your screen that are actually legitimate. So yes, you're still going to get outrageous FPS, but don't expect to be getting some of the numbers that they put inside of their marketing. Now, due to the issues that I was having with my previous build, I chose to go for the Elgato 4K 60 Pro, which to be fair has been really great so far, records in absolutely outstanding quality. I've had zero issues across the board. It allows me to plug my camera directly into that as well. But one of the best things for me overall is just the fact that it just means that it's now relying on its own central system, so if there is any issues, it is most likely going to be down to the Elgato capture card instead of my PC like it was with the old one. We're now going to talk about performance, which I wanted to first start off with video editing, as that was my primary concern when it came to this device. Even though on my main channel now I am looking at getting people in to do video edits, I'm still going to be editing a lot of my videos myself, so I want something that is a powerhouse, won't crash on me, and actually renders footage out at a good rate. So with that, I'm going to first talk about 4K rendering, as that is what is important for this channel, as all of the videos moving forward since basically July have all been in 4K, mainly due to the upgrading camera to the Sony a7 Mark III. So coming in at 10 minutes long for this video render that I chose to go for, which was about an iPad, about 2 videos ago, it came in at 3 minutes and 38 seconds long for the render time, which is extremely good. For anyone who does render 4K footage, you'll know that that is really great. That is up there with MacBook Pros, so again, great value for money item right here. That's around the same speed that I would get with my M1 Pro chip within my MacBook, so again, this is absolutely great to see, and the max temperature that it was hitting was 80 degrees with the CPU, which is arguably not that great, as obviously with the MacBook it'll turn on the fans and get a bit louder, but to be honest, in terms of the actual sound of my PC versus my MacBook, they're audibly very similar when they're trying to render, which is probably not great in terms of the PC side of things, but overall still means that you're getting good speeds for 4K footage. Now though, for the actual bigger video out of the two, which was the one that I was more interested to see because I primarily edit long-form video essay content over on my Exile channel. Now this video was my Red Dead Redemption 2 video essay, which comes in at 3 hours and 15 minutes long. It's a very, very long video, 1080p, 60 FPS, and this PC took 1 hour and 32 minutes and 35 seconds to render, which is also the exact same as my MacBook speeds, which is absolutely insane. Now obviously this PC costed more than my actual MacBook, so you could argue that the actual value for money item is the MacBook Pro, as also you get the portability with it. But one thing that is a key difference between the MacBook, my old PC, and this one is how Premiere Pro actually runs in general. With things like my MacBook, it will slow down. It will freeze Premiere Pro when having to deal with certain files. Whereas on this PC, it is literally drag and drop, and maybe, at most, there is a 1-second delay of being like, okay, yep, files hitting the PC, done. That's it. There is no issues outside of that. So in terms of rendering and just editing in general, this PC is absolutely amazing for me. And in terms of temperatures, this is where it does get a little bit insane. For this video, it hit a max of 100 degrees for the processor, which is absurd. But obviously, CPUs do run very hot, which is why you need the coolers and so on. The cooler was hitting 45 degrees for the liquid cooler, which again is very high considering when you're playing games you may get around 35, 37 depending on the intensity of the game. And that is exactly where we're going to be moving on to next, which is going to be video game performance, as this PC was built as an editing rig, but I also do want to play games every now and again on it, so I chose to test out 6 games in particular. Now the first one is Minecraft, which is really surprising for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people always think Minecraft doesn't use up that much of your PC's power, but obviously anyone who knows anything about Minecraft knows that it does. It can absolutely ruin your PC if you're trying to run it at really high specifications. So in terms of it, I ran it at max everything, and I even changed the type of biomes you spawn into to have a beefier PC requirement as it says on the game. And it was running at 90 FPS at its lowest, which is insane. I was getting anywhere between 90 and 250 FPS, which again is absolutely ridiculous. However, due to the dramatic change and it not always being sustainably as high, you do notice the frames dropping, so I did drop it down to 20 in terms of its render distance, which makes it to what I would generally play Minecraft at on the old PC, minus the other settings would also be turned down a little bit, and bringing in at 250 to 350, and sometimes all the way up to 550 FPS, but the lowest it got to at 20 render distance was 250, which is ridiculously great. And honestly, I can't wait to just test it out, especially with the new Minecraft update. It'll be interesting to see how it plays, and also possibly look at getting some texture packs in there to see what the PC can actually handle. Next up though is RDR2, which was playing in at 4K, insane to think of, the fact that the PC was running it at 4K. This is something that back in when I built my first PC, 4K gaming was really starting to pick up a little bit more, but even on the 20 series cards, it was a thing that you could do, but most of the time, the other parts would probably bottleneck you. But with this game, it was sitting at 60 FPS, which doesn't sound amazing, but when you consider that the game is capped at 60, and I couldn't find a way of uncapping it, if you know, let me know in the comments, and I will definitely be testing out, and I'll let you know in the comments if there's any changes. But overall, 60 FPS, 4K maxed, everything else, it never dropped to 59, which is, again, amazing. Then I tried out CSGO, not necessarily the most intensive game, but one that many people will be playing on their PCs, and I was getting 250 to 400 FPS. So again, very good. I then tried out Apex Legends, which does have a 144Hz cap, however, you're able to uncap it to 300 at maximum, and I was getting 230 FPS, which again, doesn't sound great when you consider I could have got 300 with, you know, the maxed out cap. However, this is with every single setting set to maximum. No drop-offs, nothing. So this is, again, a insane level of quality for the price as well. Well, to be fair, the price is expensive, but overall, you're getting absurdly great value for money. The next up is Arkham Knight, which has a 90 FPS cap, which again is annoying. However, you can't undo it. If you know, let me know. And in terms of the performance, again, didn't move from that 90. Absolutely outstanding. Now, the one that I was interested to see, just because I know how my old PC used to run Destiny 2, was to see how this thing would. My old PC could run Destiny 2 in maxed settings. However, I would get anywhere between 45 FPS, which isn't great when you're playing PvP, all the way through to around 90, 95. On this PC, the lowest FPS I hit was 255, which is, again, just ridiculous. It means that I'm definitely going to be using this PC to play more games on than I was originally intending. My actual intention originally was to use my old PC as a gaming rig only, this PC as a video editing and streaming rig primarily, and then games every now and again. But to be honest, unless I can't fit them onto the SSD, I will probably use this PC a lot more than I was expecting to for games. Now, in terms of a game that I do want to try out in the future, and I will probably make a video in the future talking about it on the channel in terms of testing this PC to its limits, is modded Skyrim, which I know for some people will be like, oh, well, there's other games that will completely demand it a lot more. Let me know which ones you want me to test, and I might do it in an upcoming video. But in regards to it, I really want to test out Skyrim because I've seen a specific mod set that is an insane amount of mods, makes the game look hyper realistic, and also still feel like Skyrim. And it's running at the same processor as mine, and just a 4090. So yes, there is a big jump between the 4080 and 4090. I'll probably have comments, people asking me why didn't I go for the 4090, as I previously discussed. However, in terms of it, it does mean that the possibility of running Skyrim in the quality that I've seen is possible, so I am very intrigued. Now, if you do enjoy tech content like this and you want to see more of it, make sure to leave a like on the video, and if you do enjoy tech, productivity and photography content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as it will help boost the channel in terms of the algorithm, everything like that, and growing the channel for other people to see. And like I said, I do make photography, productivity and tech videos every single week, primarily tech, so if you are interested in that, make sure to check that out, and I'll see you guys next week for a new video. Have a good one.